Just before we start the video today, I wanted to bring up an interesting fact brought up in the comments by Michaela that's very much true about Ebonhawk that I forgot to mention before and today. Who said, anytime I go to Ebonhawk, I tend to find role players there. I watched one where a couple was supposedly on a date and they were walking around the city checking out merchants and stuff, and a guy randomly came up to them and stole the girl's coin purse. And I guess that was the end because afterwards they all got quiet and were just awkwardly staring at each other for literally an hour. I stood there in a corner and they just did nothing, laughing my ass off. But yes, this is true, and I kind of want to mention, but in today's video and even the last one we were in Ebonhawk, I didn't. This is a role player's paradise because it's a kind of a quieter area of Tyria that not many people go to. So if you go to the bars and stuff, you do find that a lot. Anyway, let's jump in. Arrival. Gwen and Kieran led us into the mountain pass, while Nola Shepherd led a detachment holding our flank. As the battle raged on before us, seconds turned to minutes, minutes turned to hours. At a mountain clearing, we discovered an old, abandoned mining town. Its masters were long gone, but their possessions would aid us in our struggle against the Char. No longer willing to stand idly by, our civilians took up discovered arms or built barricades against future Char attacks. Kieran spent the day teaching them to build traps that would litter the slope to the town. Koro approached the camp at dusk, her two defenders nowhere in sight. Her pace slowed and staggered. Blood dripped from her face and, blinded, she tripped over a rock. She fell before our makeshift camp. Koro had tapped her own life force so that she would make it. Kieran held her in his arms in her final moments. She reminded him of the last time she had created such an illusion to save her unit. Years before. Her parting words bolstered our desire to survive. She truly was the heart of the Falcons, but the Vanguard would not let her death be in vain. Gwen stirred the hearts of the survivors once more with talk of brighter tomorrows. The Char feared the Ebon Vanguard in the north, and they would fear them in the south as well. The worry she saw in the eyes of her people was replaced with hope. The Ebon Vanguard would no longer be protecting the people, it would be standing united with them to protect a common future. Just as Koro foretold, the Char returned, furious at having been tricked into fighting an army that was never there. But the precious time she brought us had not been squandered. We stood ready for them. Unexpectedly, mad with grief, Nola raised an army of undead from beneath the earth, an army consisting of the town's previous occupants. Her forces created a wall against which the rushing waves of Char broke. Ignoring Kieran's order to fall back, she marched beyond our front lines. The lieutenant vaulted the barricade, attempting to reach her before the Char could. To everyone's surprise, he hit her with his fist and knocked her out. Then he picked her up and rushed her unconscious form back behind our defensive position. The battle lasted for hours, and we suffered many losses. But for every human that fell, a dozen Char lay dead before them. We defined our existence on that day. With the battle finally over, we accounted for the dead. The baker and her son, who had taken up arms along the front lines, were among those who did not live to see daybreak. The Char have pulled back for now. We can still see them on the horizon, pacing and waiting. Captain Gwen has drawn the line, and we're not moving from this spot. But unlike before, we will be ready for them, and will make them pay. The quarry attached to the mining town is said to be rich and deep, or so one of the craftsmen tells us. He and a couple of others are already preparing to retrieve stone to reinforce the town. Private Casey Carpenter has joined the workers in the quarry, pulling up massive stones that are now being moved to replace our makeshift barricade at the front. The foundation for what will be a massive gate is being built. Other Vanguard soldiers have put down their arms, for the time being, to help the civilians reinforce our position. Slowly, our defences are taking form. Our losses have been great, but now we've all been forged in the crucible of battle. We are united under a singular purpose. We are home. Gwen walks among the weary survivors, thanking them for their tireless efforts. She's beginning to reorganize soldiers and civilians alike into teams, each working to establish our residence in this mountain pass. The look of uncertainty has all but vanished from everyone's eyes, replaced now with determinations. People have come to terms with their fears and now advance with a unified spirit. Captain Gwen Thackeray tells us we are finally home. We are ready to believe it. We won't flee from our home, our Ebon Hawk. Come, Char. We will meet you on the battlefield, but we will not move from here. The final line has been drawn. Kim's the historian. Okay. Until recently, the Fields of Ruin were the scene of ongoing struggle between the humans and Char, centering on the siege of a human city of Ebonhawk. Now, a fragile truce exists between the two races, while radical elements on both sides seek to shatter that peace. Oh man, get a load of that Char music. It's always good to be back in Ascalon. Hey guys, we got a lot to talk about today. But we will hopefully also get through a reasonable amount of story. Still just getting back in the groove here, so a lot of different things. First of all, you'll notice that we do look a little bit different. Truth be told, I kind of prefer the Char aesthetic we had going on with the Char cultural armor from when we were back at the Black Citadel. But, as we all know, Tyrix has been recently in the Ascalon Catacombs, and these are the spoils of that dungeon. This is the Ascalonian set. Obviously, for heavy, medium would look different, light would look different, but we're a warrior, so we're wearing the heavy stuff. And also, if you pay close attention to our feet, a lot of you guys wanted me to have an eye patch or something, but no, we're going with a peg leg. Look at that, to represent the damage we sustained in a random trash pull while we were in the dungeon. Unfortunately, Tyrix has lost a leg. He's become a little bit more grizzled. Hopefully Forgul will notice this and respect us a little bit more as a a wise warrior that spent his time on the battlefield. But there you go. So that's that. I also wanted to show you, when we weapon swap here, I have a back piece on now. So before, what you saw Tyrix had was like a Black Citadel engine looking thing, which is a reward you get when your character is old real world time. So if you've been like a year long playing the game, or 2 years old, eventually your characters get gifts from the devs and you can pick them based on the various cities. So that's what Tyrix had before. This time, what I've gone with is I wanted to show you this plush backpack, which is a Char. It's a kitty tiger looking Char that looks a little bit like us. And you might think, well, that's a bit stupid, WP. That looks kind of funny. But I wanted to do this because these were some of the first ever launch new skin backpacks the devs ever added way back in the early days. So I figured, hey, why not show this off and get a bit of that flavor in there. You're not going to see me wear any gear until we get to points in the story where the development of the game actually added that stuff. And so this was some of the early things. We were quite limited for backpacks way back when. But that makes sense, right? It's pretty good. The last thing as well is our weapons. So what you can see here is an Ascalonian greatsword, and here what you can see is a shield and an axe. So this is all stuff from the Ascalon Catacombs dungeon. Now what's quite interesting about this set though is it's one of the first prestige sets the devs ever talked to us about when it came to Guild Wars 2 before the game actually came out, and they gave us an idea of what the loot might be like in this MMO. What they specifically talked about was that this set looks different during the day than it does at night. And, well, as I sit down to play with you guys on this hot summer day here, IRL, it's actually about 5 minutes before evening in Tyria. And what you're going to notice happen is as the sun sets in Tyria, hopefully I'll call it out as it happens, this weapon set will change. And so you remember, obviously, the Ascalon Catacombs is haunted and ghostly. We'll bear that in mind, and you might see that this alters a bit. Really cool. One of the first weapon sets we ever actually saw at all, because they gave it for free to people who played this game at, like, the early demo pre-releases before the alphas and betas and stuff, like at Gamescom and stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of a really iconic set to me, and we'll see that as we progress on. That's what we get as a reward from Ascalon. Now, moving on, what have we got? Well, we're in Ebonhawk, obviously, and you guys have heard a little bit of story about the Fields of Ruin here. I talked to you at the end of the last episode that there's a lot to do at Ebonhawk, and there is really a ton. Loads of Easter eggs and fun different things. So I will try and give you a tour, starting with here. You might be like, well, what are we doing standing around? Well, this is a farm. This is where the people of Ebonhawk feed themselves, presumably. We get some kids around.
May the six protect you.
Mickey and Kiki there. Aaron's finished his work, but all he does is lay around. I want him to play with us. Grown-ups are so boring. No offense, none taken this time. What this place needs is a big statue. But the statue would really be a robot. Oh, and it would water the crops. You could slide down it. I need to tell Aaron about this. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Ugh, you're no fun. You're no prize yourself, kid. And here's the old man who's like fallen over. It's hard to look cool and collected when you have kids yammering in your ear all day. What are the kids doing here? The kids work in the their parents work in the fields. These kids help me out while I'm landscaping, but they try to take up all my free time too. Sounds frustrating. Mickey and Kiki are good kids. They work hard to make the job go quickly, but a man's got to get some time for himself every once in a while. Good luck with that. So there's just a billion NPCs we could talk to. Some of them will have much more profound insights about the Char human struggles here. Some of my favorite dialogue from the release game is here at Ebonhawk, just because it's so real and grey and scary and weird, with the separatists struggling with a new identity as this treaty is starting to come in. Oh god, I'm coughing here. But here you see a suspicious rat. This rat seems to have been trained to do reconnaissance, and if you do some of the guild missions, you learn a bit more about them. But what I'm really here for is these chickens. What I'm gonna do is beat up these chickens, which you'll notice are actually invulnerable, or at least this one is here. But if we hit them enough, and I think if we kill them enough, you will find a reference to another video game series, that being The Legend of Zelda. And you guys might know where this is going. So I'm going to beat the crap out of these for a while, and see you in a second. So you can see it's now become an angry chicken immediately. And let's keep pressuring the angry chicken. Do you know what? I think I messed up here. I think we've already seen the egg. I've just cut, and I've been battering chickens for ages now. But I think the whole thing is just the fact they become angry. Maybe power creep over the years has made them less dangerous. But basically, this is probably a reference to Zelda, where you kill... this comes up in so many videos. Kokoro's? But then they get angry and really aggressive. If you've seen my recent Super Adventure Box series, when that festival was going on and we played through all of that, you remember they did multiple references to it there as well. But at the release of Guild Wars, this was one of them. And the idea is you try and beat up these innocent chickens, and eventually they become angry, and they get super tanky, and they actually do lots of damage as well. Also, when you tick off a chicken, lots of them spawn all at once. So if you tick off enough chickens all at once, you can find that you're surrounded suddenly by them, and they do lots of damage. I think because we're just so strong, we can kind of cleave through them. And I've been sitting here beating them up, thinking that something big and dangerous was going to spawn later, like an ultimate angry chicken. But I think this is it. Anyway, nonetheless, it's kind of cool. You fight the chickens, they get PO'd, and they get really tanky and dangerous. And they like summon birds at you and things as well as one of their animations. It's kind of cool. All right, so there you go. That's one little reference. We have a hero challenge there with a fallen angel soldier who's training, and we could maybe fight them. But I'm not going to try and do everything for map completion here. There's a Renown Heart 2, where you can go into a script cave that's over here and recover things. That Renown Heart's kind of cool because they sell a really creepy headpiece, which in my earliest videos for Guild Wars 2, I used to wear, and I used to get endless comments of people asking what it was and where it came from when it was here in Ebonhawk. But what I'm really excited to come to and show you guys is around on the right here, down near this second exit to the city. So there's actually two. There's one at the north, and then there's this one over here at the east. But over here, before we leave, you notice there's some Asura around. There's a Secret Order of Whispers base here, for what it's worth. Oh, I might have gone the slight wrong way. Actually, I think I might have gone slightly towards the Order of Whispers base. Hold on. There's an Order of Whispers base. There's that prison I talked about. There's essentially a brothel here as well, which is kind of funny. It's a pub, but if you go high enough upstairs, you can find a shady-looking Asura who seems to be... how do we put this delicately? In cahoots with a very large Norn lady and a human lady that are earning profit somehow, and they definitely suggest something dodgy is going on. Here is kind of a sneaky exit to the town. Hey, a Char came through this gap and headed to the farm. Then he went all wavy and disappeared like a ghost. Nobody believes me, but I saw it. Strange. Did you hear anything? Did the Char say anything? No, it just rang by. You couldn't hear footsteps even. I only felt the breeze. Then it was gone. No idea, kid, but I'd keep my eye out if I were you. A lot of this stuff is just like really obscure little references that may become stuff and may not. But here, check it out. We got the graveyard. Now, there's actually a lot of things going on here, some of which a lot of people know, but a lot of which also goes missing and unnoticed by the community. So first of all, if we walk deep into the graveyard up to the main mausoleum, you can see there's a hero challenge here, but listen very carefully to the audio as we walk over. Now, did you guys hear that? In the background, under the music. In fact, if I go to our options here and turn the music down for a second. Oh, I think it stopped playing now. But what you can actually hear under the music slightly is there's a flute sound. And that's because we've come to the grave of Gwen. A simple memorial marks the final resting place of Ascalonian hero and Ebon Vanguard commander Gwen Thackeray, loving wife of Lieutenant Kieran Thackeray and ancestor to Captain Logan Thackeray. So, those of you who are watching this series and have only watched this series, you'll know Logan, obviously. But Gwen was a very famous character from the original game. Gwen is featured, and you've been hearing about in these short stories in the most recent episodes of this series. If you watched my Guild Wars 1 series, you'll remember a little girl running around in pre-searing Ascalon who asks you, first and foremost, one of the original quests of this entire franchise is to get a flute for this little girl. And we hear the flute played there, and this is where she came to be buried. There was an entire campaign I did a video series on about her getting married to this guy, Kieran. Yeah, this is a big moment for Guild Wars 1 veterans and fans to see where she finally came to rest. And there's lots of these little moments all throughout Tyria in Guild Wars 2 where you find the ultimate resting places of various areas. Here you go, the flute's going again. And I think it may have triggered there because that Sylvari character just came in and ran off. But yeah, it's really beautiful, and the devs honor her in a very cool way by giving you this flavor, and you even get some hero points from channeling with the grave, which we can spend on a new specialization or skills or whatnot. You've also got some memorial plaques to the left and right of her. To Captain Langmar, who led us into this battle, and Captain Gwen Thackeray, who led us to this home. We shall never forget you. Langmar, of course, being a very prominent character we got to know in the original game. Dedicated to all those who bravely fought and fell. We honor your deaths, for you kept the heart of Ascalon alive. You know, it's little things like this, moments like this, that really makes Tyria feel like a big, living, breathing place with a history, because there really is a history here. There's stories here from the novels and from the book, from the previous game, sorry, and all the campaigns within the previous game. It's kind of awesome. So players know about that one. This is one of those things, I'm not a very sentimental man, but this is one of those things where people say, oh, I teared up when I found this for the first time. Big highlight of Ebon Hawk. What you may not know, though, for the real fans, and particularly for the devs too, is another grave. Now, I can't remember exactly which one it is. This is Boyd Slim McGruin, with the text, never get between a bear and his honey. Lola Barkel, they'll have a harder time shooting you. You can work out the years on all of these as well. Turned away from the Shrouded One by his own resolve, he entered the mists. Home at Last from Nicholas Sanford. A lot of people will recognize this guy's grave. So, again, there was a system in Guild Wars 1 where every week an NPC would travel all around the world, all over the map. And, you know, one week he might be here, another week he might be here, another week he might be in another region entirely. And you would find trash items, trade them to them for him for special rewards. A really much loved feature. And you can hear here, this is where he was buried. That's still not what I'm talking about, though. His Yak, Professor Yackington, the most steadfast of companions. He followed Nicholas to the ends of Tyria and beyond. Still not what I'm talking about. Lastly, you have this grave here. So there's a juvenile Crichton Drake Hound, a juvenile Lynx, two pets, and this grave's got these flowers. This was actually added, I believe, maybe post-release? But here it says Thist. And the year is 1277 to 1327. So 1327... You might notice we're only technically in the story right now in the year 1325. So this was added a couple of years after Guild Wars 2 came out. And it says here, tireless scribe and friend to animals, she left her mark on Tyria and is now at peace in the mists. And what this is, and Guild Wars and the developers have done this multiple times over the years, but I believe this was the first one. This is an actual human. This was a person who was a fan of this franchise and who gained much renown within the communities and fandom here, particularly over on the wiki. So the website that aggregates on all information, has all brilliant guides on every achievement, every piece of content you could ever imagine wanting to do. You go to the wiki. The wiki has that information. The community works together to pull it together, and it's this great thing. The Guild Wars wiki is really much more profound, I think, than the wikis you find for most games. And one of the most diligent wiki workers, even from Guild Wars 1 days and transitioning to Guild Wars 2, was this person who sadly passed away in real life and was recognized for their contributions to this community with this grave that was added. And everybody really knows about Gwen, and they know about Nicholas and his yak, but this one, I think, for the real nerds, we sort of have more, that might be more of a heartthrob for you. But, you know, there's so many graves here, and as I mentioned when we, on a previous character, were in Gendaran Fields, and we saw another Ascalonian settlement where they settled in Kryta. There's a big graveyard there we visited very briefly. Many of them will have, you know, touching references to stories we may know publicly and stories we may not know. So yeah, what else is there? Well, there's also, I mentioned the achievement to find all of the things for the founding. There's also a hidden room here where you can play an instrument, and if you play the correct tune, it opens a secret door with a chest. I guess I won't show you that since we're already so long into the video. Man, Ebonhawk is in many ways a disappointment, I think, because it feels like I want more end game result here, but for that initial exploration, there's a ton of cool things here. There really are. And, you know, I've not even shown you the dynamic events or the hearts and stuff. Definitely check it out, guys. And I've given you some of my favorite moments here, which I kind of wanted to do. Let's move on, I guess. Let's go out the postern gate. So remember, there's a northern gate here. And what the story really wants us to do, let's just remember here, is we've learned that the renegades, the Char that want to continue the war, are led by this guy, Ajax and Vilburn. And we want to figure out what his renegades are planning. They just orchestrated an assault on the city, which we defended, but it's still seeming pretty dicey.
Look at that view.
The entirety of the Fields of Ruin really is talking about this treaty, and it's all about how people are changing and thinking differently as time goes on. So there's lots of landmarks and interesting NPCs I want to show you. Now, we can find out what Ajax is doing by just going north out of the city. First, I want to come out of this gate, because it's, in some ways, the more interesting gate to come out of. So you see, there's a quarry. The people of Ebonhawk need food, and we've seen their farms. They also need supplies for the war effort that they've been in for hundreds of years. Just because the Crichtons haven't been out and out fighting against the Char until, you know, for a long time now, until very recent history, the Ascalonians have been. Remember, there's a novel set just before this game came out, a novel called The Ghosts of Ascalon, and that deals with this treaty being enacted, and it's very recent history. So here's Zinka, who says, I accepted an assistant management job here, thinking it would be like having my own crew. It's more like being a polyether programmer for a line of defective golems. Okay, that's what the humans are, defective golem sim. I am well, thank you. So Foreman Bodo says, I can't believe how much has changed since the ceasefire side. Mind you, I prefer peace, but we're so used to being at war. I think we're having a hard time making the transition. Well, how can I help? The war used to put the steam into some of the workers here. Without it, they're just not motivated. And on top of that, the peace and quiet has allowed pests to make this place their new home. So for this harp, we can help them kill, rally lazy workers, stop people gossiping, kill bats, and get heart progress. I'm curious, how has your business changed since the war ended? Before the Yasura Gate in Ebonhawk was installed, we relied on this excavation to keep our walls and weapons in good repair. Now, we even have excess to send back to Divinity's Reach. It's a nice change. So that's an interesting thought, since everyone over in Kryta seems to really resent resources coming this way. But it sounds like, you know, it is a bit of a two-way setup. And eventually, with unity, might come strength in trade between these two people. Jen is really seeing the big picture. So, oh my god, that was crazy. Did you guys see that? I may freeze frame or slow that down. That is an old bug I haven't seen for years, where basically Halloween assets appear in the game and then disappear again. Well, how did that just happen? That's crazy. That was candy corn from the Halloween event. It's nowhere near Halloween right now. Weird. Anyway, what I want to show you guys is this. The beautiful music there. The Desert Gate. So a sneaky gate off in the corner right to the south of Tyria. And here we get some Desert Gate guards.
For Ascalon.
Who say this gate's closed for the security of Ebonhawk. I can't let anyone pass without orders from Captain Samuelson or Queen Jenna herself. So Samuelson, of course, being of royal blood. Why exactly? This gate serves as a barrier against the branded. They're still streaming south through the mountains toward their master, Kraukatoric, wherever it is now. What do you mean now? We've heard that the Elder Dragon moved since Destiny's Edge fought it in the Crystal Desert, but those reports came a long way around. No one's come north from there or from Alona in a long while. Well, it sounds like I need to take the long way around myself, thanks. We have no plans to take the long way around. But way back at release, this was a really exciting thing, because it was like, wow, maybe in an expansion, like this map doesn't exist. You can't go south of the gate. And the idea of visiting the Crystal Desert at launch, it wasn't in the game. It only very recently, in 2017, got added with the most recent expansion. And it's not through the gate we end up going to the Crystal Desert. The circumstances of why and how and what happened with Kralkatorrik after he cast the brand on his flight south, all of those answers are big picture questions we'll get way later in the story, long after the initial campaign is over. But this gate has always been an exciting prospect of seeing what's behind there, and maybe in an update we will get to go there at one point. But yeah, one of those very explicit moments where the devs of Guild Wars 2 say, hey, there's stuff here, you'll just have to figure it out later. So, what else have we got? Well, some gossiping miners.
Nice to see you.
These guys will actually speak to each other out loud as we talk to them, so we'll listen out for that. But they say, you look like you've seen the world. Have you ever been to Lion's Arch? Well, actually, yeah, I have. I hear all the people there are cutthroats and crooks who would kill their own sister for a loaf of bread. I know some jobs there, but I'm not sure anything's worth that risk. It's pretty bad. Stick with what you know. You wouldn't last a day there. Yeah, I guess so. Working here has been good for me so far. I've had enough to feed my family, and they can live in safety inside Ebonhawk's walls. Thanks for the advice. Ebonhawk would kind of become quite safe. And look at the walls, honestly. Would kind of become quite safe the second that
Whatever happened to
the treaty goes through.
He went to Lion's Arch to be a sailor. Never heard from him again.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Knowing him, he's probably a pirate by now.
Gruben. It's kind of interesting that he, as an NPC, might be there. By the way, check it out. The night is falling, so keep an eye. There you go. Look at our weapons. Oh, yeah, baby. So the color of our weapons just totally changed. Look at that. So it's now glowing blue, and when we unsheath it, it gets this otherworldly glowing effect. Now, listen, guys. When it comes to Guild Wars 2 of today, like, everything glows, and you can buy glowy weapons and armor for really cheap on the gem store and stuff, and, you know, this isn't particularly special. But this was really badass at launch. Like, having something with so much visual, like, power creep and stuff, that's a weird term, but having something that occupies such a crazy space, these were difficult weapons to get, like, on the tier of legendaries. So, getting this from the first dungeon in the game was an awesome weapon set. And it was balanced by the fact it would only shine like this during night. And there's less nighttime in-game than there is during day. But check it out, look, you get this skull effect now on the shield. That skull was not there during the day. I mean, what an awesome, awesome weapon set. Really brilliant. And I think a lot of players at release missed out on this, and they didn't know that this existed, and Ascalon Catacombs very quickly started giving too much loot too quickly and stuff. But, you know, the devs had some really genius ideas way back when, I really do think, of how to make rewarding, awesome cosmetic skins. Nowadays, you don't really blink at this kind of thing. But when you... what I've tried to do in this Let's Play, by only wearing gear as we get it, is make it so it is profound when we first finally see this. These are the coolest weapons you guys have seen on this series. Surely, right? By far. And the only way you got them is by doing the dungeons, the end game. Ebonhawk doesn't need all this ore since our sieges are over. The foreman is ordering us to keep digging like we used to, though. Someone must be buying. Good thing, too.
I don't know. Houses, farm tools, fences.
Sure will be nice to be out of the war trade.
But yeah, they don't... who's buying all this stuff, I wonder? Cordicus, probably. Probably Cordicus, right? Funding his own endeavors. Right, so, yeah, there's lots of gossiping people, by the way. There's some over here. We'll talk to these, and then, we'll grab this scout and probably nip back to Ebonhawk and go out the north so we can continue the story. I mean, this is one of my favorite maps in terms of story. Like, so many NPCs say so much cool stuff, but we don't have time to do all of it. Oh, he's just lazy, so we can rally him. What about you? The mood in Ebonhawk has been a lot lighter since the ceasefire began. Yeah, people are still touchy about the char, but at least they aren't trying to kill us. Feels like I can relax now. This place used to be vital to our survival against the char. Now, we're making big sales to vendors in Divinity's Reach. Would you rather still be at war? I don't know, I guess I'm just used to it. The char have been at our throats for generations as a part of who we are. Even good changes take some adjustment. That's kind of nice. I like it when this game deals with it. This franchise is generally good at dealing with this kind of stuff. Again, the most recent expansion is pretty good at it too. You were just lazy. I think there's one more gossiper or pair of gossipers. Oh, maybe not. This is an interesting place because I seem to remember that they used to mention a district in Divinity's Reach that actually got cut before release. Some NPC and some dialogue did. But they don't seem to very much anymore. Maybe I'm just misremembering what stuff is. More suspicious rats. There's a scout here. There'll be dynamic events in the dangerous wilds outside. Let's see what's going on.
While the char have pulled back from Ebonhawk's walls, the ogres have used the quiet to set up camp in vacated areas. We're trying to advance through Sapper's Delve in order to halt the ogres at Foulbear Crawl. It's been a bloody slog, and we'd be grateful for any help you could give us in pushing back the ogres.
All right? Well, we could do stuff with the ogres, who, of course, we know, by the way, have been upset by the brand's creation and their livelihoods. But instead, we're going to go this way. Now, one final note. This area down here, to me, is like the most remote, secluded, cozy, special little area of the whole game. It's just so far removed from everything else, you know, like... There's no map here, there's no map here, no map here, here. None of this is accessible. So to be like in a nice, cozy, quiet little forest down here, where like there's not much end game that happens, there's no dungeon here, there's no big meta events people play. It just feels really quiet and secluded and nice. And I don't know, I just always felt like it's a very special place. It looks quite pretty there as well. All right, let's go to the Fields of Ruin. Enough random trivia. Oh, here's a hero banner. So these are placed by guilds, other players in the world, and they give us buffs, so we get faster movement and higher chance to get rare materials gathering and increased experience and karma. It's all pretty cool. All right, so the Hawk Gates, look at that up there. Makes me think of the Never-Ending Story a little bit. That scary scene with the frost gates there. Right, and we've got another scout, Watchman Bricken.
As part of our truce with the Char, the legions have moved back from Ebonhawk, allowing us to establish new outposts. Tyler's bivouac is one of these, and they've run into some trouble getting their footing. It doesn't help that there are Char renegades and human separatists that oppose the truce, seeking to keep the old war alive.
So if we were seeking to level up lots or, you know, just be 100% exhaustive, we could go now and help the people here, or we could help the people here. Instead, we're going to start moving north. Funnily enough, moving north now, we're moving closer towards the Black Citadel and Charlands. And it's kind of weird, you know, this is called the Fields of Ruin. You can really think the front of these gates, these were dangerous places for humans to live, not us as a Char. But, you know, the Char would wage sieges and set up machines of war all along here. In fact, round this corner, you can find all kinds of big Char tanks and things. They don't really say anything too interesting, and I want to go figure out what's going on with Ajax, so we're going to move north. But, you know, this is kind of a thing that I often don't think about with this map. You can see the ruins here, and these big flat plains for sieging, and the short stories we've heard from the founding that you get to read about in Ebonhawk, and I've been giving you in the episodes lately. You kind of hear about what these plains were like a bit. But yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And look all the way back there. I prefer looking back at the gates during the day, but hell yeah. All right, so Killer Instinct. We need to meet Forgul outside the siege plains. Gorgeous screenshot here. This is one of the few bits of concept art that shows horses interior, which kind of do exist in lore, but we've never seen in game, and it's kind of a weird head scratcher and a fun thing the devs have always played with. But yeah, that's like one of the big Ascalon aqueducts we saw back in the original. And yeah, so Forgul, hey man, are you going to be nice to me now, or are you just going to tell me to shut up and do things? Let's see. Hey. A man, a few words.
Hey there, kid. Remember to bring your weapon?
Kid?
I'm ready to fight, and don't call me kid. Ha! Got some spark in you, eh, recruit? Good to see. We'll need it if we're gonna stamp out these renegades. Get ready to move, and keep your voice low. If we're lucky, we can catch these bootjacks sleeping. You really think we'll be lucky? Kid, we both know that kind of luck doesn't exist. Still, try to take prisoners if you can. We'll need them to give us information if Anvilburn isn't there. So we just run in there and yell, "Hello, bad guys, surrender or die"? Look here, whelp. There's a time for strategy and there's a time for kicking the door down. We don't need tactics against this rabble. We just need force. Yes, sir, War Master. Right then. Don't worry about hello. Just skip straight to surrender or die. Now move out.
He's more bloodthirsty than us! Forgul, you're a nutter. That's so ridiculous. Also, I told you not to call me kid, and you just called me kid again. You slipped it in there afterwards. Do you hear that, guys? Keep your mind... That reminds me, isn't there like some ridiculous moment where a guy goes on a talk show and antagonizes his guest speaker so he gets attacked? South Park did a parody of it. Someone in the comments will know what I'm talking about there. Anyway, keep your mind on your task, recruit. Duty first, questions after. All right. Fair enough. I want to try out these badass new Ascalonian weapons. Let's get moving. It's interesting the music right now is purely like the stealth music that we hear a lot.
What do you mean?
Anyway, keep your mind on task, recruit. Duty first, questions after. Yes, War Master. We're very good at being subordinate, despite the fact that we have an entire warband for ourselves.
By the spirits, is this some kind of kiddie playground? Wake up out there!
What? Why did you wake them up? they were asleep. We could have stealthed Halo style and just meleeed them in the back to beat them up. No, no, no. So
Stop. Whoever trained you must be crying right now. You best run.
Jesus, he's bloodthirsty. He's mental. He's a liability. He's worse than Siren. This is unbelievable. Forgle. Okay, fine. Are there more sleeping ones? Yeah, look, he's actually legit asleep. But we just... Oh my god, he's torching this stuff. He just torches these down. They are very weak. My god.
That's all you've got? Come on, you mangy runts.
Look at him throw... He literally throws the torch, burns them out, and causes them to get out. This is insane. We are just so powerful. I mean... I think they buffed between the last time you saw us playing.
You're the one-brained, most cowardly loustabouts I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Between the last time we were playing, I think they buffed the hell out of For Great Justice. And they buffed the hell out of Shake It Off, so we're just even stronger now. Yeah, we get our Rock Dog as well. These guys have no hope. Here's their leader, Pizor Ironmane, but I mean, should we really be scared? It doesn't look like it. Let's just beat him up with our axe.
I yield. You fight well.
You're damn right we fight well. Thank you very much. Forgle, you want to chill out. We just burned their entire camp down. Two-man Wrecking Ball crew. Hi.
You shuck-brained cur. Where's Ajax Anvilburn? We know he's behind the attacks on Ebonhawk. Spill!
You just missed him. He left this morning. He's on his way to kill some worthless human named Duran. They're setting an ambush at Summit Peak. They'll kill Duran, then leave the bloody knife with old Steel Crusher. We're killing two peace lovers with one trap.
Ashes and snow. He means Minister Kent Duran, the Crichton ambassador. I bet Steel Crusher's the ambassador for the High Legions.
You're vigil, aren't you? Ha! Ajax will be sorry he missed killing you. Tell his human-loving mother, Almora, that one day we'll spit on her grave.
Ooh.
Amora is Ajax's mother.
That's above your pay grade, recruit. Forget you heard anything about it.
Forget? I can't just forget. Don't you think that's important?
Whatever happened to discipline? Kids these days. All right, fine. But not here and not now. We'll talk about it later. Right now we have to evac before more renegades show up. Leave this coward to rot and die alone. Let's get back to Ebonhawk and warn Samuelson about Ajax's plan.
Jesus, hold on. So what does he say? Don't kill me. I'll change my ways. I'll go back to the Legions. You won't see me again. What do the renegades want anyway? Why are you doing this? We want the treaty to fail. Peace between Char and humans? It's an interesting idea. Can you get that weapon out of my face? I love the dialogue here. This is great. I wonder what Tyrix really thinks. I mean, let's lay this out. Tyrix is invested in dealing with the Elder Dragons because he saw what happened to Howl. And he saw the power and the danger of the Elder Dragons. And he's very much ingrained in that, particularly through Ritlock's ear. But how much does Tyrix really believe that unity between Char and humanity is needed to take out the Dragons? You get what I mean? Do you think he's fully convinced? I guess the idea the devs want us to be fully convinced at this point. But, I mean, just like everyone else, we're a citizen of Tyria. We must have some prejudice against humans. So here, he says, don't kill me. And we get this option here with the crossed swords. And let you rejoin Ajax's crew. I don't trust you. Sorry, this is your last breath. So, I love this. Just like when we were starting out, we had the choice to, like, do you kill someone or not? We get this choice again here. Just, if we're feeling like we want it, we can say, I don't trust you. This is your last breath. And we can kill him. He dropped a mine. That's kind of funny. That was his last breath. Let's see how much damage it does. Oh, it won't even trigger when he's dead. That's hilarious. Yeah, you could just kill him. You could just take him out. You don't get any loot or any change in the story, but, you know, that's what you can choose to do. So, really? Forgle, what the hell? This isn't the time or place to discuss it, but yes, Ajax, the leader of the Renegades, is Almora's, the leader of the Vigils, son. She's aware of the complication, and the mission is still going. So, hold on. She's sending her order to kill her own son. Almora's continuing this mission? She realizes that we might have to kill him? Yes, if Ajax's actions threaten Tyria, then Ajax must fall. We all have to make sacrifices. If Ajax is her son, why doesn't Almora just tell him to back off? Well, Ajax was raised in a Farah, not by his mother. They barely knew each other. So, yeah, I mean, that's very Char, right? If we were a human right now, we might not understand this very much. But Char don't particularly care that much about their blood family. They care more about their warband. Their warband is more of a family than anything else. And, you know, they're bloodthirsty and brutish in the first place, so they're kind of okay. I can imagine, I as a Char would 100% trust that Almora is being objective about this and doesn't care that it's her own son she's trying to have put down, just because that's how the Char are, you know. I understand. I don't envy Almora, but I respect her decision. What's next? Well, we need to warn the delegation at Summit Peak that Ajax and his renegades are planning an attack. Well, let's do it. I'll send a message to Samuelson. In the meantime, let's head to Summit Peak. We get the end of the story here. And we get... Oh, there you go. Some new weapons, which are actually a little bit stronger now. So they're good. Between episodes, I'll equip those and skin them and set it up. So, we're on to the next story step. Don't shoot the messenger. And yeah, we don't actually technically have to return to Ebonhawk. We just walk a little bit down the roads. And Forgel will deal with the rest. This is one of the little things I kind of wish the story was a bit different with. I would have preferred if they did make us zigzag constantly back, just more excuses to see Ebonhawk, appreciate it as a living, breathing city where different things happen and give us a chance to experience that more, instead of just constantly pressing forward through to the new territory. But yeah, we're gonna keep on going and assume that some time has passed here. So hey Forgel, what's going on, man? Great to see you too.
Who are you people? Commander Samuelson didn't mention an escort, and you certainly don't look like Vanguard.
We're with the Vigil. We know about the attack plan for Minister Duran. We're here to make sure you reach him in time.
An escort? I'm a soldier of the Ebon Vanguard. I don't need babysitters.
We're not babysitters. We're tourists, traveling the same road, taking in the same scenery, and beating the ever-living crap out of the same idiots as you. You look like a fine sergeant. Are you really gonna tell us where we can't go and who we can't beat up on such a nice day?
I have to get this message to the Minister. I don't have time for this. Just keep up or I leave you behind. Head out for Summit Peak, and don't slow down. So Vigil's my escort? Fine. Just don't tell the rest of the Vanguard. I'll never hear the end of it.
If I'd had a daughter, she'd be a lot like Jane. Except smarter, stubborn.
Careful. This has ambush written all over it.
For the charge!
Oh my god. She's kind of a badass. Can I just say that basically she's looking at a Char and a Norn and saying, oh, keep up with me. That's kind of cool. The Ebonhawk Vanguard do look awesome. I should get like a female human. I don't have one. Most players of this game do have female humans. I should get a female human and make it look like an Ebon Vanguard soldier. That'd be kind of cool.
Stay alert. Keep moving.
But yeah, so this is Ellen Jane. She's actually going to become, like many characters at this point in the story, across all the orders, you will see these faces come back again and again. They enter in quite nondescript ways, but remember, this is Ellen Jane. Alright, more renegades. And yeah, essentially what we're doing right now is kind of a story step that is an escort, sort of. And a funny thing is, if you're not a member of the Vigil, and you're just in the open world exploring, you're not technically doing this story step, there's another dynamic event, a real dynamic event that starts here and moves all the way up to Summit Peak, which is where we're going. Sorry, over here.
Is that another renegade up ahead? They aren't even bothering to disguise their ambushes? That's just insulting.
So it's kind of a funny situation here, where whether you're a Vigil member or not, you kind of can get this story. It wouldn't be with Ellen Jane.
Stand the line. We have to help her.
It wouldn't be with Ellen Jane, it would be with a different person altogether. But yeah, you can kind of do a dynamic event where you run up. But yeah, alright, so let's take these out. This is one of those funny missions where if you play the game a lot and you're not interested in the story anymore, you're just trying to get through as fast as possible, you'll have a temptation to charge ahead down the road, but then you'll leave her behind and end up having to come back anyway. So I have a lot of memories of playing this instance just because I always get stuck here because I go too fast for Ellen Jane to keep up. These ogres are pretty strong. They're much tankier than the renegades that we've been fighting.
Ogres? The renegades are stirring up anything they can find just to send them at us.
I love how often that god of war and fire is mentioned by humans. I mean, Casey, rest in peace, was a big worshipper of Balthasar, so we knew a lot about that, but it comes up so often. It's great. Wait, Ellen Jane, let me resurrect your old friends. Look, these guys are doomed. Jesus. All right, I guess we'll just keep going. You can see on the minimap where more NPCs are to revive as we continue pressing along into the Fields of Ruin. Get further away from Ebonhawk, which is all the way back there now. Here we go, even more. Looks like this was a big fight. There's lots more dead renegades than Ebon Vanguard, so go humans, I guess. What does Forgel say here? You're doing well so far, recruit, but don't get too cocky. So all we have to do is get Sergeant Jane to the ambassadors. It's not as easy as it looks. The renegades could be anywhere. Stay sharp. Yeah, they pounce on us in the middle of that conversation. She's doing well fighting over there on her own. And we're slowly building up allies. Look, here's some hunters. Actually, this is just a regular hunter, like a hunter of the wilderness, not necessarily associated with the city that we revived here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, me too. Let's keep going. Me and my Char plush. We're ready. We should name the Char plush here, guys. That means we'll have the Char plush with us. We'll have a mini with us. We'll have the dog with us. We actually don't have a mini on this guy yet. So if you guys have got an idea, let me know. A good mini for Tyrix. We could get him a mini Char with him and sort of feel like we get to have a warband back.
on site. Stand at attention.
Hell yeah. Look at this swagger as we move in. Good job, Ellen Jane. And yeah. We've come to their camp. Summit Peak and the negotiations will occur in that tent up there where we've got a lot going on. There we got a male, but that was a player, a member of the community, not like Zodger or someone messaging us like Ritlock.
Minister Duran, sir, please, it's critical that you hear this. Commander Samuelson sent me from Ebonhawk. You're both in terrible danger.
Danger? Slow down, Sergeant. Take a deep breath and tell me what's going on.
Ajax Anvilburn and his renegades are going to ambush you. They plan to assassinate Minister Duran and blame the attack on Ambassador Steelcrusher.
Well, we can't let that happen, can we? Duran, can you fight?
Not as well as a Char, but I can hold my own. We could take cover at Summit Peak up ahead. Having the high ground would be in our favor. The camp is a defensible location. If the renegades don't know we're prepared, we could turn the tables on them when they attack.
With all due respect, Minister, the best defense is usually a good offense. I recommend we find the traitor's base and destroy Ajax before he can strike.
The Vigil were the ones to uncover this plot. With due respect, sirs, I think we should let them decide if we choose ambush or assault.
There you go. See, look, Ellen Jane didn't like us a minute ago, but we escort her all the way up here. We save her life several times, and she's willing to let us have the say. She says, hurry up and talk to the ambassadors. We need a plan before those renegades get bold again. Right, no problem. Forgel, we're here. I'll keep an eye out for attack while you fill the ambassadors in on the situation. So lots of warriors around. That's cool. Rugio Swifttooth, bodyguard to Aximus Steelcrusher, the Char ambassador. So the renegades wanted to kill the humans and blame it on the ambassador actually trying to make real negotiations. And he's the bodyguard to that ambassador. Welcome, Soldier of the Vigil. Who are you? I'm Pugio, Soldier of the Ash Legion, bodyguard to Ambassador Steelcrusher. Ash Legion? I thought Steelcrusher was Iron Legion. Yes, but the three great legions know that the peace with the humans is the best chance. We're working together to that end. But not all Char do believe in peace. No, sadly, and they threaten the peace talks here. No harm will come to the ambassadors, I assure you. You know, one of the things I've always been really interested in, right, guys, is there are 4 high legions. You've got Ash, Iron, and Blood, all working together in unison. And we see that, obviously, at the Black Citadel. This is Iron territory, really, but we see all 3 legions. When you create a character, you can choose which legion you want to join. We're Blood, right? And we work here at the Iron. So it's pretty clear that those 3 high legions together care about peace, as we just see. So they're all working together. What's kind of, even though Smoder, the Iron guy, initiated it. But what about the Flame Legion? We know that the Flame Legion are at odds with the Citadel and stuff, and we can't choose them. But do Flame Legion value peace? It's kind of an interesting thought, because it's not Flame Legion we're fighting here, it's Renegades. I wonder if Renegade could find support from Geheron Balefire, and I mean, that's kind of a cool thought, right? I would have loved a little bit more of an insight into that. Anyway, I hope not. Right, so what else we got? 2 guys, Minister Duran of the humans. Summit Peak is defensible. If we make our stand there, the renegades won't be able to overcome it. So he wants to defend where the negotiations are actually happening. Tell me more. It's simple, really. There are clear routes into Summit Peak, so we should be able to stop any assault. And Steel Crusher says the High Legions have spies among the renegades. We will find Ajax's camp and crush their little force together. Tell me more. We know Ajax's camp is in the Thunderbreak Hills. If we surprise him there, we can end this without risking the peace talks. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. Let me think about this. So, what do we want to do? A preemptive strike, or do we want to prep? I'm going to go with prep. Both are perfectly valid. Both have got interesting outcomes and sides of the story. I just prefer this instance, and I think it's more fun to do the fight in this big, profound area of the story where the negotiations and treaties are going on.
Excellent. Set up the defenses. I'll try to remember what my old swordmaster Bongo taught me.
Finished with that.
So Swordmaster Bongo, you may recall Swordmaster Farron talking about way back when. He referred to being trained by Swordmaster Bongo the One-Eyed, I think it was. And here we get another reference to this strange character in the background we've not actually seen, if I remember rightly. So yes, okay, Duran. He says, I'm grateful for your protection, Tyrix. We owe a great debt to you and War Master Forgul. I love how cool... We're a char in doing this as well. How are the treaty negotiations going? Well, I'm heartened by Ambassador Steel Crusher's attitude. I really think we can find compromises that help the both of our people. Okay. So even if we're successful in this defense here, guys, it doesn't mean that the negotiations will just finish right away. It seems like it's a months, weeks, years-long procedure to figure out and negotiate how this will work. The ceasefire is in action, but actual peace hasn't been negotiated yet. It's good that you and the Vigil, prepared or not, they were sincere in their desire to keep you safe. That's true, and the gesture's meaningful. I shouldn't discount that. Thank you very much, Tyrix. All right, so that's pretty cool. And Forgul is just silently watching each time. I'm glad we were here. No insult to Sergeant Jane, but she could never have handled this alone. I agree. I'm glad that we took an interest. Is she going to thank us now that it's all over? I'm still annoyed that the Vigil was sent to babysit me, but considering the odds, maybe it is good that you were here. Without us, you'd have been a smear on the ground. Show some gratitude. Fine, I am grateful. Better? Yeah, and you're welcome for the assist. Welcome, Soldier of the Vigil, and he just says the same thing. Right, let's, you might think, oh, WP's gonna end the video here, but no. There's just a little bit more I want to show you guys. So, out in the open world here, now that we're at this camp, there's lots of different people we could talk to. There's a heart that we can deal with here. You'll notice there's an event going on with the Wasp Queen. Kill the giant wasps in the Ebonhawk delegation. The story wants us to immediately load in here. Instead, however, of doing that and ending the video, let's come up, grab this waypoint the Asura have set up, and come up into the camp. Now, at the camp, there's about 1 million NPCs we can speak to. So here he's talking about a royal messenger.
Do you have a moment?
And that's that dynamic event I was talking about, so we could go help a royal messenger get here. But if you look up here, check this out. Ebon Vanguard Lieutenant Barker.
Friend.
Psst, you know who the captain's talking to? No, who? That's Krogana Farsblade, Butcher of the Siege Plains. For years, she destroyed the forces we sent out beyond the wall. She fought like a monster. And now she's a member of the Sentinels? Yeah, I heard that after Kraukatorix swept down south, she joined the Char ranks to fight as minions. They say that she was too proud of her Char heritage to join the Vigil. So the Sentinels, kind of another story, but that's a branch of Char that are all about patrolling the VAT brand. Remember, Almora's warband was turned, and she went off and founded the Vigil, but some Char have gone back into the brand. Some of them are fighting right there, that threat as it exists, trying to cull the forces that are coming out by the Elder Dragons, and those are known as the Sentinels. We've never really interacted with the Sentinels. We've never even seen the brand. It's very close. We've never even seen it. Well, very soon, guys, before long, we will see it, and there are some badass Char that now patrol it. This is one of them. Blood Legion, hell yeah. Bickering, it's all I hear. They've got death on their doorstep, and they'd rather argue about seating arrangements. What's a Sentinel Legionnaire doing here? The Dragon Brand's just northwest of here. I'm here to remind the delegates that there are bigger problems out there than history and racial hatred. So this character is so cool. Fought slaughtering humans for years, saw the Elder Dragon threat from Kraukatorix and just went to the brand and is just bored of this now and is fighting within the brand. What a badass. And then now here at the negotiations just to get some urgency there. Here's a representative of Ebonhawk. The dragons propose a greater threat than Ebonhawk has ever faced, and considering everything we've been through with the Char, that says the dark days are ahead. I'm guessing you support the treaty? Not everyone from Ebonhawk supports it, but I've watched while our walls crumble under the assault of Kraukatorix's minions. I know the horror that we face, and we can't face it alone. I understand.
Keep Ascalon in your heart.
Welcome to Summit Peak. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, please let me or my soldiers know immediately. What's your take on the Peak Summit? To be honest, I was skeptical. Maybe I still am. I spent a lot of time hating Char. That hatred tends to get in the way of what can be accomplished by our two races. Anything changing your mind? I talked with this Legionnaire Fazar Blade. She still hates us, but she's trying to get along with humans. It's strange, but I can relate to what she's going through. It's like we have something in common. I hear a buck coming. But I don't think we'll ever really see peace until both of us are dead and the new generation takes over. The rest of our lives will be devoted to making sure we give those kids that chance. I think there's some real beautiful truth there. Like, bigotry and, like, ingrained true hatred is very hard to get out of people. And it's kind of a beautiful thing then when you go to Lion's Arch and you see the melting pot in action. You remember when we first went to Lion's Arch, we had some kids playing Destiny's Edge, and you know there was a Char child there playing with a human child, and they didn't really understand why their people hated one another. I think this person's bang on. This is just one tiny pocket of conversations, guys. There's loads of them, and you can join me next time for more insights into the negotiations, into the treaties. Look at all the banners here, all the various groups that have come together to try and make this work. And Summit Peak itself, as we just unlocked, will be under attack by the renegades.
Leave now. There is still time to join the assault force.
Here's the latest dispatch from the Queen, Representative Markle. I would have been here earlier, but we ran into separatist trouble.
Rest assured their days are numbered. Thanks to your bravery, the treaty is closer to being signed. On behalf of Queen Jenna and the interests of the delegation, I thank you.
So there you go, that's the dynamic event I was talking about. This Char here, this player, did it without us.
Responsibility isn't easy.
I brought goods with me from Divinity's Reach. Let me know if you would like to purchase any. So this came through the gate in Ebonhawk, up from Ebonhawk to here. I love things from Divinity's Reach. Look, we get a stein of high ale, cotton candy, and a recipe for an irradiated focus. So yes, join me next time, guys, for lots more fun stuff in some of my favorite areas of the game and some of the most rarely visited areas of the game, that being more from Fields of Ruin, and we'll deal with Ajax and co very soon. Thanks, everybody. I'll catch you next time.
Must be the defector. We heard you were coming. Glad to see you made it in one piece. If you come with us, we will take you to the delegation.
Hold on, I never told anyone. Wait. I know you. You're renegade. You're all renegade.
And you were almost safe and sound. Slit this traitor's throat. Now!
Halt! State your business in front... Wait. Those are renegade markings. Guards, execute her!
No, wait. was a renegade. I'm here to tell the delegation about what the renegades are planning. They need to know.
I should slit you open and spread your guts all over the ground, traitor.
I don't deny what I was. I've killed humans and Char alike. But I need to warn the delegation. The renegades are up to something big, something lethal. After I'm done, do what you want with me, I don't care. The renegades are up to something big, something lethal. After I'm done, do what you want with me. I don't care.
Well, all right. We'll escort you to the delegation, but after we disarm you and have a cell ready for you.
Thank you. I'm just glad I can put this all behind me. Let's go. We don't have time to waste.